How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to some more content for you guys. Today is what we're going to be looking at is a tier list, another tier list, and the first of a series where we're going to be ranking top 10s. So we're going to be looking at today's goalkeepers, then we're going to be looking at defensive backlines, midfield pairings, and also the front line. But specifically concentrating on goalkeepers today, we've got the Premier League top 10, which is last season's European teams with Tottenham and Chelsea added. So we've got Arsenal with Aaron Ramsdale, Man City with Edison, Liverpool with Alisson, United with Onana, Spurs with Vicario, Chelsea with Sanchez, Brighton with Steele, Villa with Martinez, West Ham with Areola, and Newcastle with Nick Pope. So we're going to rank them from 1 to 10, 10 obviously being the worst and all the way to 1 being the best. So let's see how we go. It's going to be difficult to rate the likes of like Vicario because we've only seen him for like 4 games, but it has been positive signs so far, as well as Onana. I mean, we kind of did see what Onana's about before he did join Manchester United, so it's a bit of an easier one. But I guess we'll see how we go. I mean, shall we go from top to bottom? I think top to bottom is probably easier.
Yeah, you've probably got Brentford and Fulham fans screaming at their screens at the moment because they're like, we're top 10, but unfortunately we're going with European teams, plus Spurs and Chelsea, so Fulham and Brentford miss out. But yeah, we'll go from bottom to top, I guess.
I think it's probably easier to go from top to bottom because
then it's suspense who's going to be top.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, fine, we can go from bottom to top. I mean, it's pretty easy to pick the bottom one, to be honest, in my opinion.
Is it that easy?
I think so.
Who are you going for?
I think it's between Areola and Sanchez.
So it's not that easy then.
But I'll probably go with Sanchez.
I'll probably go with Sanchez as well. For me, I actually like Areola. I think he's a decent keeper. And I think now he's number 1 at West Ham. I think we're going to see like a lot better version of Areola than the one who like keeps coming in and out of the team. And obviously he was their keeper for the Conference League, isn't it, when they won last season. So he showed he was good there. For me, Sanchez has never really nailed down a proper spot at Brighton.
He actually did, but then he got dropped.
I'm saying
it was weird when he got dropped.
He got dropped. Like, I wasn't even that massively impressed with him when he was number 1.
Can we read too much into these Brighton keepers being dropped? Because like even Luke Steele's been dropped now.
So yeah, I mean, I think Sanchez, I was never even impressed with him when he was number 1 at Brighton, to be honest. I know he got a lot of praise from some pundits, but I think his shot stopping's pretty average. I think his playing at the back was okay. I don't understand why Chelsea went for him. I think it's a bit of an odd signing.
Yeah, I thought he actually got dropped from the Brighton side because his playing out the back wasn't good enough. And like Luke Steele was just so much better at him at that. And like when you're looking at each facet to his game, where he's playing out the back, his shot stopping, his claiming crosses and stuff, nothing is actually that strong, is it?
No, and he's not had a great start to his Chelsea career either. Also, I think there was a few attitude things when he got dropped. He got dropped from the squad completely because I think he was, he rubbed De Zerbi up the wrong way with the way he reacted to being dropped as well. So I think there's a few attitude problems with Sanchez as well. So yeah, I think Sanchez bottom.
All right, so Chelsea, bottom of the league as we start things. Very nice. Next up in 9th, who are we going for? I mean, you got Luke Steele, you got Areola, and I don't know. I think probably Pope is better than those two. Say Martinez is probably better than those two.
I think for me, Steele goes in number 8. I think Areola is a bit better than him as an overall goalkeeper. Sorry, number 9. I think Luke Steele did all right when he came in for Brighton last season, and his playing at the back was pretty good. But I think he's already lost his place at the moment in the main Brighton team. I know he played a lot, but I just think he was picked because he was better at playing out the back than Sanchez. But I actually don't even know if he was a better keeper overall than Sanchez, like at proper goalkeeping, shot stopping and that kind of stuff. I was never truly impressed with him. He's also like 31 as well. So I think he goes in number 9.
I really rate him very highly with his feet and with his playing out the back. I actually really rate him highly in that facet. And he's like a very, very, very extremely poor man's Edison kind of thing, where his goalkeeping's not that great, and obviously this is all like times 20. His goalkeeping's not that great, and his playing out the back is really good level. Would I want him at Spurs, or would I want him as my goalkeeper? Probably not. Is he good enough for like a Brighton? I would say probably. is he better than any of these goalkeepers on the list? I think there's probably a case for him to be better than Areola, but I think in probably all facets of goalkeeping, probably Areola, apart from playing out the back, is better than him.
Exactly. Pretty much, yeah, I agree with that. I think he's 9th.
All right. So Luke still goes into 9th. Going into 8th, I think it's pretty straightforward, this one. I'll probably say Areola goes straight into 8th.
I think so. I reckon if he was playing for a better team than West Ham, we'd see him in a different light. Like, I think he could potentially be a better keeper than Nick Pope. I really believe that. I think Nick Pope is a solid keeper, but I don't know. I think him playing for Newcastle, where their defence is a lot more solid, I feel like his flaws get masked over a bit more, especially his playing out the back flaws, which are horrific. And I think Areola is potentially... I think like Areola could potentially have better reflexes than Pope, but I think Pope is like... he's a much more solid shot stopper, where like he won't like make too many howlers, and he's pretty good at coming for crosses. But like, who's going to make the more impressive saves? I think Areola probably would make the more impressive saves than Pope, in my opinion.
He couldn't even hold down a place over Fabianski last year, even.
But he will.
League.
He is now.
I know he is now, but like,
and they were better when he was in.
Old now.
They were better when he was in my opinion. I think he's better than Fabianski. And he won the Conference League for them, like as the number 1 keeper. And I've always been impressed with him when he was at Fulham and other clubs when he filled in. I think he's I think he's underrated, Areola, but he just hasn't shown it at a high enough level consistently. So I think you have to put him there.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the other keepers, he's just not on that level just yet. How old is he, Areola?
Probably late 20s.
Late 20s?
Yeah.
I thought he was younger than that. Because like he's always been touted about as like an up and coming keeper.
He's 30.
He's 30?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought he was much younger than that. Because like in my mind, I've still got him as like that up and coming young keeper, but he's just not.
He was that for a long time because he was at Madrid, he was at PSG, always a sub keeper.
So having said that, 30, yeah, I'd probably say 8th is where he should be, to be honest. Next up at number 7, I think it's probably a toss up between Nick Pope and Emi Martinez. I think Pope is overrated. I think Martinez is also overrated, to be honest. I don't know who I'm going to side with on this one. I think if you're going for just penalties, you're probably going for Martinez. That's probably, would you say, the only place where he kind of trumps Pope in a goalkeeping basis? I think
it's a tough one. I think when it comes to like playing out the back, I would probably rather Martinez, although I don't think
neither of them are great.
Neither of them are great, but I think Pope is like, that's a big weakness of his. I wouldn't say it's a massive weakness of Martinez. I think when it comes to like being commanding in the penalty area, coming for crosses, I'll rather Pope. When it comes to shot stopping, I think I'd just about rather Pope. When it comes to that facet, like quick reflexes and things like that, I'd probably rather Martinez, to be honest. So it's very even. I'll probably just shade it with. I'll probably shade it with Martinez. I think
the way I look at it, right, is that would Villa swap Martinez for Pope? I think they would.
I don't know if they would.
I think they would, in my opinion. But would Newcastle swap Pope for Martinez? I don't think they would. So I think just on that general basis, you're probably looking at Pope being the better keeper.
I don't think Villa would swap him. I think he's a very big player for Villa. Sorry. I don't think it's an easy. I think Newcastle definitely wouldn't. I think maybe Villa, I don't think they definitely would, but maybe they would.
I think they would, for sure.
I don't think for sure. They only would if he's a definitely better keeper. And I don't think he is. But I'm happy to go with Martinez as next. I think he's an overrated keeper. But I think Pope is starting to show a few flaws as well, to be honest.
Massively overrated, in my opinion. You're talking about Pope. They were talking about Pope as like being one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier, like top 5 goalkeepers in the Premier League, and I just don't think he's there. I mean, you see a lot of flaws in his game, a lot, and it's like he gets clamoured about for having like great shot stopping and stuff like that, which I just don't think he's at that level. I really don't. And I'm looking at, he's already dropped out the England squad, by the way. He didn't even get called up to England. No injury or anything, was there?
No.
So I mean, Southgate's starting to see it finally. He's been the number 1 for so long. I mean, he hasn't even been the number 1. Pickford's been ahead of him all this time. So, yeah, I'm going for Martinez, then Pope, in my opinion.
We'll go with that.
So Martinez goes into 7, Pope goes into 6. Now it gets interesting. So you've got Vicario, Onana, Alisson, Ederson, and Ramsdale for the top 5.
For me, Ramsdale's next.
Straight out the bat, Ramsdale in the shitter.
Next.
Love it.
I just think Ramsdale's overrated.
I completely agree.
Statistically, he's been the worst performing goalkeeper in the Premier League when it comes to expected goals allowed. I think when it comes to shot stopping, I think a lot of the time he makes saves look a lot more difficult than they need to be, and he actually makes positionally he makes a few mistakes, in my opinion, which top keepers don't make. For example, I thought, in my opinion, he probably should have saved Rashford's goal the other day. I don't think he was brilliant for the Fulham's goal against Pereira. I thought at the back end of last season he was costing them lots of points, especially that Southampton game where he passed it straight out the back. I think his playing out the back is so overrated. I don't think he's as good as people think he is from playing out the back. He can hit a long pass, don't get me wrong, but I think he's shaky a lot of the time when he plays out the back.
In his first season, he was much better at playing out the back than he was last season. And last season, the stat actually is no goalkeeper or no actually player made more mistakes leading to a shot than Ramsdale last season. So I think that shows you where he's at with playing out the back. I agree. I completely agree. Ramsdale is massively overrated, and I do think David Raya is going to take that number 1 spot off him very soon. I rate David Raya much higher than Ramsdale. Mm-hmm. Although you could say like Ramsdale is the youngest on this list by far as well.
Yeah, but we're talking about quality. We're not talking about age. I get that,
but you're talking about goalkeepers who usually flourish in the later ages, so it could still happen for Ramsdale. But as of now, I would say he probably is the 5th best keeper in the league.
100%. I put him next. Don't think he's any higher than that.
Ramsdale 5th. Next up is, in my opinion, probably between Vicario and Onana. I can't sit here and say Vicario is better than Onana, to be honest. I mean, we've seen Vicario do it over the past couple of years, be one of the best goalkeepers in Europe. Vicario, I mean, you'd be lying if you told me if you knew who he was this time last year. So I think just on that basis, I would say Onana's better. But what they've shown in the Premier League in the early stages, Vicario has actually been better than him.
I think when it comes to playing out the back, I definitely prefer Onana. I think he's one of the best in Europe at hitting passes from the goalkeeping position. But when it comes to pure goalkeeping, obviously Onana's not like terrible, but from what I've seen in the Premier League so far, when it comes to like being commanding in the penalty area, I definitely like the look of Vicario a bit more. When it comes to reflex saves in the goal, when it comes to close range shots and stuff, Vicario has the second best save percentage in the league. And Onana has let in quite a few goals so far and hasn't looked entirely convincing, but he is also still very new to Man United. Vicario, to be fair to him, playing at Empoli last season in a team that was in a relegation battle, I think you got to give him credit. I think a lot of Empoli fans credit him with keeping them up single-handedly. And obviously, when you're playing in a team like that, it's going to be a lot more difficult to show how good you are. And now he's at Spurs. He's obviously showing good stuff. But just based on Onana's been at the top of his game for a while, to be fair. Inter Milan, at Ajax as well. He was part of the Ajax team that got to the Champions League semi-final. So
did make a mistake in the semi, though.
But I reckon at the end of the season we might be saying something different. But at the moment, you have to put Onana 3rd and Vicario 4th.
Yeah.
But then again, you could say the same with Ramsdale, but in terms of being ahead of Vicario. But I just looking at Vicario right now, I just put him ahead of Ramsdale, just what I've seen from them.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going on that basis as well, like you're completely right. Like if you're just going on what you've seen this season, I think Vicario is better than Onana as well. But you got to take all the knowledge that we have and put it into the pot. And I think like Onana. I mean, you were only saying yesterday Onana was the goalkeeper of Serie A last season.
He was, yeah.
In the same league as Vicario.
I bet Vicario is playing for Empoli. It's a lot harder to do well.
Yeah, I get that. But,
is what it is. Yeah, and you can play the cards you're dealt.
Yeah. So now it brings us to our top 2. It's Alisson against Ederson. And I think there's a clear winner here, to be honest. And I think that winner is Alisson.
100%.
That goes in top. I think every facet of the game he's really strong, from his shot stopping, from his claiming for crosses, for his playing out the back. I think everything is absolutely top class from Alisson, where when you look at Ederson, his playing out the back is probably better than Alisson. But I think every other facet of the game, I think Alisson's better at.
I think Alisson's the best keeper in the world. I think he's that good. I think he's been on top of his game for a long, long time. I think he's
better than Donnarumma.
Yep, I think so. I think Alisson's the best. I really believe that. I think he's world class. I reckon the way he's going, could be potentially the best Premier League goalkeeper of all time.
Ooh, that is a shout and a half. Best Premier League goalkeeper of all time.
I think so.
Better than Petr Cech. Better than Peter Schmeichel.
Yep. I think he's that good, Alisson. He's incredible. He's incredible in everything. Yes, Ederson might be a bit better playing out the back, but Alisson's very good in his own right playing out the back. He's still very confident. Maybe he makes a few mistakes, but so does Ederson. Ederson also makes a bucket load of mistakes as well, but he just makes up for it. When it comes to pure goalkeeping, especially when it comes to things like coming for crosses, Alisson is hands down he's like twice the player Ederson is at those kind of things. When it comes to reflexes and saving like unsavable shots, I think Alisson is much better than Ederson at that as well. And Ederson's at a high level. Like Ederson's probably better at these things than all the other goalkeepers in the league. But I think Alisson is that much better at him at those facets that puts him ahead. Obviously, he has the #1 shirt for Brazil as well, so there's no surprise there. I think Alisson is an astonishing keeper. He's been playing at an astonishing level.
Even scores clutch goals as well.
He scored a last-minute goal as well. I think I love Alisson. I think he's amazing. I really believe he's amazing. And people maybe won't look at it, but maybe once he leaves the Premier League or once he retires, people might see him as the best ever.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the best goalkeepers ever in the Premier League, I think the two other front runners are Peter Schmeichel and Petr Cech, probably. Can you think of any other keepers are in the conversation?
Courtois, maybe not for Chelsea. No, he wasn't there long enough. Best ever. It's difficult. De Gea, I don't think he's really in the conversation. Van der Sar.
De Gea should be in the conversation. In my opinion, he should be.
But unfortunately, he let his standards slip. Yeah, he let his standards slip for so long. I guess if you're talking about their prime, but if you're talking about their prime, like he was the best shot stopper I've ever seen. I think David De Gea, but I still think Alisson is a better all-round goalkeeper than even De Gea is in his prime.
Out of those 4 goalkeepers then, are we saying those 4 goalkeepers are the best goalkeepers in Premier League history?
Does Seaman get a shout? I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe. Who else was very good like earlier? Yeah, I think those are probably the best.
So, I mean, what would you go? You would go Alisson #1?
I think he's the most all-round goalkeeper I've ever seen. I really believe that. He's the most all-round goalkeeper. He's like
it's hard as well because like when David Seaman, Peter Schmeichel, and even Petr Cech were goalkeepers, like
different roles.
It was a different role, different game almost.
Yeah, but I think you put Alisson back in those days, I think he's just as good as them. I think he can do those roles just as well as they can, but I don't think they could do Alisson's role as well as he can.
Thing is, I've always rated Alisson as like an absolutely world class goalkeeper, but I've never thought about him as the conversation as like best goalkeeper of all time in the Premier League. And I think it is a good debate to have, and I think it is a good shout as well. But I think like you're looking at Petr Cech and Peter Schmeichel and the longevities they both had and what they did in the game. And
Alisson's been going for what, 6 years, 7 years?
Yeah,
it's a long
time.
Petr
Cech, how long did he go for?
Yeah, but he. Not to be harsh, but he wasn't the same, was he, after the head injury? And that was only in his third season. So he was never as good. He was good, don't get me wrong, but especially when he went to Arsenal, he was not very good at Arsenal.
Arsenal, yeah.
Yeah, but he was there for, 4 years?
I mean, was he first choice for 3 years?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean, he was a shadow of the keeper he was at Chelsea, Arsenal.
I think like between 2004 and 2006, he was an incredible goalkeeper, maybe potentially better than Alisson. I wouldn't even say yes, but potentially. Then between 2006 and like 2013 when he left, 2015 when he left Chelsea, that's like an 8-year period after his head injury. He was still probably the best keeper in the league, but he wasn't the same as he was before that injury. He just wasn't as good on that level. Alisson's been top of his game for 8 years, 7, 8 years now.
Peter Schmeichel, I mean, he was like, central to that Manchester United team that completely dominated in that period for a long time as well.
He was a world-class goalkeeper. And I guess it's tough for me because obviously I haven't seen as much of him live as I have Alisson, so it's hard to call it. But from the clips I've seen of Schmeichel, and he looks world-class, don't get me wrong, I just look at Alisson, I think he just looks more all round. I don't know if Schmeichel's capable of what Alisson can do with the ball at his feet, and I think
that's the thing. He didn't need to be. That's the problem.
But I think Alisson has that, and he has everything else.
Well, I want to know for what your opinions are, guys, in the comment section below. Is Alisson the best Premier League goalkeeper of all time? And I mean, like, I'm still like a bit struggling to fathom it in my head, like if he is or not. I'm still like completely undecided. And I think we got to be on video for about like 1 more hour for me to actually make a proper decision. But I want to know from you guys out there, is Alisson the best goalkeeper, Premier League goalkeeper of all time? I still in my mind can't put him above Peter Schmeichel, to be honest. I think Peter Schmeichel is the best Premier League goalkeeper of all time, followed by Alisson, then Cech. I think those 3 are the top 3 of all time. But in terms of where we're ranking the Premier League goalkeepers of the top 10 this season so far, in number 10, you've got Roberto Sanchez. In number 9, you've got Luke Steele. In number 8, you've got Alfonso Areola. In number 7, you've got Emi Martinez. In number 6, we have got who do we have at number 6? Nick Pope. At number 5, we've got Aaron Ramsdale. Number 4, we've got Vicario. Number 3, we've got Onana. Number 2, we have Ederson. And number 1, we have Alisson. Is there any bias there with Vicario in number 4?
Maybe a bit. Maybe a bit. But I just think I've never been impressed with Ramsdale personally. And I know maybe that's my bias coming out of me, but I think he makes too many mistakes. And I think he's got a lot of good PR. Like he's a very happy guy. He's very good on social media. Like he has a lot of things on his side. Goes on these podcasts. He's very funny. All these kind of things. But I think I watch him as a goalkeeper, and I think he lets in way too many goals that he should be saving. He makes way too many mistakes when playing out the back, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later he's going to be dropped.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, to be honest. And I think like there's already a conversation within the Arsenal fan base, like is Ramsdale good enough? Is when's Raya going to come in? Blah, blah, blah. But there are still a lot of those Arsenal fans just clinging on to like, oh, this guy's world class. This guy's a top keeper. But I just can't see what they're looking at saying top keeper.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, that is our rankings of the current Premier League top 10 goalkeepers. Let me know your ranking in the comment section below. Thank you everyone for viewing, and we'll see you next time.